There's a problem with how most of us deals with hard days. And once you notice it, you won't stop noticing it. You read something in a psychology book that generally clicks, a way of thinking about anxiety, a reframe for a relationship pattern, and for a week or two, it sticks. Then a real moment hits you, a fight with someone you love, a spiral before a hard conversation, and that insight is just gone. So you open ChatGPT, retype the same problem you have explained a dozen times before, and get back a competent but a generic answer. One that has no idea which book you have actually read, what's already helped you, or that you asked almost this exact question 3 weeks ago. There's a fix for this. And it's built on an idea from an AI researcher, Andrej Karpathy. Instead of an AI starting from zero on every single question, you let it build one permanent personal map of everything you have read. A map that gets smarter, more connected, and more specifically yours every time you add to it. That's exactly what we are building today. A personal psychological wiki fed entirely by the books you have chosen. That doesn't just answer your question about daily problems, it remembers them, it connects them, and it gets better at knowing you the more you actually use it. And the best part, none of this requires knowing how to code. If you can create a folder and paste a file into it, you can build this. Think about it like this. Imagine you have spent months building up your own personal library of psychological books. The one that actually changed how you think about anxiety, relationship, motivation. With the regular AI chatbot, every time you ask it a question, it's like none of that reading ever happened. It has no memory of which book sits on your shelf, what you have already tried, what's already worked for you. It started from zero every single time. That's the bottleneck. Karpathi's idea flip this completely. Instead of searching your books fresh every single time you ask a question, you have the AI read them once and build a structured wiki out of them. A real persistent knowledge base made of interlinked markdown pages. So when you add a new book, the AI doesn't just file it away for later, it actually reads it, pulls out the techniques and ideas that matter, and weaver them into the wiki. It updates existing pages, creates new ones for new concepts, links related ideas together, connecting, say, a copying technique from one author to a similar idea from a completely different book. And if two authors actually disagree with each other, it flags that too, instead of quietly picking a side. Over time, the wiki keeps growing and getting richer. The connection are already there, the synthesis is already done. So when you actually ask it about a real problem, a hard conversation you are reading, a pattern you keep repeating, it's not starting from scratch, it's working from a knowledge base that already exists. Understand how books relate to each other and to you. Here's how Kripathi himself put the underlying idea. Think of Obsidian as the IDE, the LLM as the programmer, and the wiki as the code base. You rarely write the wiki yourself. The AI does the writing and organizing. You just focus on what books go in and what you actually want to ask. Now, the whole system has three layers and they are very simple. Layer 1, your raw sources. These are your original psychology books, PDFs, EPUBs converted to text. Whatever you are working with, the important thing is that these are read only. The AI reads them but never changes them. This is your source of truth, the wiki itself. This is the folder of markdown files that the AI creates and maintains. For this project specifically, it's going to have source pages summarizing each book, entity pages for theorists and school of thoughts, concept pages for specific techniques, and this is the part that actually matters for daily use. Synthesis pages, where the AI pulls together every its read across multiple books into one grounded answer for a real problem, like dealing with anxiety or a hard conversation. Layer 3, the scheme. This is basically a rules document. It tells the AI how to structure the wiki, how to handle new sources, and how to format everything. We are not using Cloud Code for this build. We are using a free open source agent called OpenCode, paid with a free API key instead of a paid subscription. The scheme file is still the same idea, just named AGENTS.md instead of Cloud. agents.md, OpenCode reads it automatically the moment it opens the folder. Alright, let's get into the setup. Here's what we are going to need. First, Obsidian, the same free note taking app built around plain markdown files. This is going to be a viewer. Download it at obsidian.md if you never used it before. Don't worry, I will walk you through the parts that actually matters. An AI coding agent. I am using OpenCode for this. A free open source tool that does the same job Cloud Code does, reading and writing files on your computer. The reason we are using this instead is simple. It's free and it lets us point it at a no cost hosted model instead of paying for a subscription. You could also use Cloud Code, Cursor, or similar tool if you don't mind the cost. Note, I am using Obsidian because of its graph view, which makes all the connection genuinely visual, but underneath this is just a folder of markdown files. You can open it in VS Code or any plain text editor and it would work exactly the same. Now, once Obsidian is installed, open it and create a new vault. That's just Obsidian's word for a folder. I am calling mine LLM Wiki. Saved whenever makes sense to you. Desktop or documents, both work fine. Now, we set up the folder structure. Two folder to start. Row. The AI reads from this but never changes anything inside it. This is where your actual books lives. Wiki. This is where the AI build and maintain every page itself. Now, here's the important part. You need to create scheme file, the rules document that tells the AI how to run this wiki. Since we are using OpenCode instead of Cloud Code, this file is called agents.md, sitting in the root of your vault. The moment OpenCode opens this folder, it reads these files automatically. Same mechanism, different name. Let me walk through what's into the scheme file. First, the purpose. This defines what the knowledge base is actually about. In our case, building a personal wiki out of psychology books so the AI can give grounded answers to real everyday problems where you adapt this to your own project. This is the one line you have change it to match whatever you are building a wiki about, researching a hobby, tracking a job search, whatever it is. The folder structure, where the raw posts live and where the wiki output goes. The ingest workflow, what the AI should do when you add a new book, read it, extract the key theories and techniques, create or update wiki pages, update the index and log what changed. Page formatting rules. Every page gets a summary up top. Every claim references which book it came from and pages link out to related concepts. The question answering behavior. This is where ours actually goes a step further than the basic template. Instead of just answering generic questions, we build a dedicated command for this exact use case. Describe a real problem you are dealing with, and the AI researches the wiki first, answers from what's already there, cited specific books, and if nothing fits yet, it builds a new page on the spot so the next time that problem comes up, the answer is already waiting. Alright, now comes the fun part. Let's fit the wiki its first real sources. I'm going to drop a book into the raw folder. One thing worth knowing, if you are following along with a free setup like ours, unlike Cloud Code, the free open weight models we are using aren't great at reading PDFs directly, so I'm converting this from an EPUB to plain text first. Now I want to open the open code. Now go to opencode.ai/downloads and copy the npm command and paste it into the terminal. After the OpenCode downloads, run OpenCode auth login and choose a provider. I am choosing Cerberus, but I would suggest OpenCode Zen or OpenRouter. They are also great at it. Then go to Cerberus or OpenRouter and create an API, copy it and paste it into your API keys section. Now I want to open the OpenCode again. Before I do that, I need to make sure my terminal is pointed at the Vault folder where all of these is set up. Once that's done, I will launch it and tell it to ingest the new sources. I just added a new sources to the raw folder. Please read it and update the wiki. Watch what's happening. The agent is reading the chapter, creating a source page, building out concept pages for each cognitive distortion it covers. and creating an entity page for the author. It lists out everything it's about to create before doing it. I will just confirm, and depending on which free model you picked earlier, this takes anywhere from under a minute to a few minutes. Let's go check Obsidian. Look at this. Structured pages already linked to each other, and over in graph view you can see the connection forming. This is just from one book. Imagine what this looks like after a whole shelf of books. Now here's where it gets interesting. Let's add a second source, this time a completely different book. Look at this. The agent isn't just creating new pages, it's actually going back and updating the pages it already made, adding new angles alongside the other angles. That's the wiki actually doing its job. And the graph view now shows more nodes, more connections, getting smarter with each sources. Now let's ask it a real question, one that needs both book to actually answer well. We will use the command slash ask problem how to keep cool while another person is attacking you verbally. Look at the answer. It's not rereading the raw pages from scratch, it's pulling from the concept pages already built, connecting angles from one book with another from a completely different book, connecting angle from one book with the angle from a completely different one, and naming exactly which book each idea traces back to. That's the whole point. This is nothing like asking a generic chatbot the same question and getting back something that has no idea which book you have actually read. One more thing I want to show you that I think is really clever. Karpathy talks about this idea of linting your wiki. Just like a code linter checks your code for problems, you can periodically ask the agent to audit the whole thing. It will look for contradictions between pages, claims that might be outdated, or fun pages with no links pointing to them, or concepts that get mentioned but don't have their own page yet. We have actually got this built in as its own command slash lintwiki. The agent goes through everything and gives you a report. Here's what it gives me. Look at this. It found 9 broken wiki links. Some were simple, a stray link that needed to just become plain text, but most of them were more interesting. Wiki had pages referencing concepts like Taoism, narcissistic personality, antisocial personality, and passive aggressive personality, and citing them constantly without those concepts actually having their own pages. Yet, that's exactly the kind of gap a human proofreading 100 pages by hand would probably miss. So the agent didn't just flag this, it went and built the missing pages. Look at this. Brand new concept pages for Taoism, narcissistic personality, and antisocial and passive aggressive personality, plus a whole new entity page for Scott Peck, one of the authors being cited repeatedly but who never got his own profile page. It even got a page linking to itself by mistake and fixes the reference. And this is the part I really like. It noticed enough scattered material about handling verbal conflict that it builds an entirely new synthesis page on the spot. Staying cool under verbal attack, index overview, and the log all got updated automatically to reflect every single one of these changes. Running total after this one lint pass, 39 pages, all cross linked, all traceable back to real source. This is the difference between a pile of notes and an actual wiki. A pile of notes just sits getting messier. This catches its own gap and quietly repairs itself. What would you actually use this for? Here are some ideas. Students or researchers. Build a wiki as you read papers and articles on a topic. By the end, you have a beautifully structured knowledge base, not just a pile of highlighted PDFs. Teachers, feed in curriculum documents, professional development materials, and articles to build a personal teaching wiki that grows over time. Businesses, feed in meeting notes, customer call transcripts, and project document. This allows new team members to browse an organized wiki instead of digging through endless Slack history. Curious people, if you read a lot, use it to track what you learn from a book. podcast, an article. It's like building your own personal encyclopedia. And worth saying clearly, this pattern isn't only for psychology. The exact same setup works for any pile of knowledge you have accumulating over time and want organized instead of scattered. Research, a hobby, a curriculum, anything. We just happen to point it at the thing most of us actually need help with day to day. Okay, let me be straight about the limitation because this isn't magic. Scale. This works best at a personal scale. Karpathy talks about wikis of around 100 pages. If you are trying to build something with tens of thousands of pages, you will want more infrastructure than just a folder of markdown files. Garbage in, garbage out. The wiki is only as good as the books you feed it. You still need to curate what goes in, and for something like this, that caution matters even more since you are trusting it with the advice about real problems requires an agent. You do need something that can read and write files to make this work. Obsidian by itself doesn't do any of this. The AI is the engine. We use OpenCode specifically because it's free and works with no cost API access. You could also use Cloud Code or Cursor if you don't mind paying, but you genuinely don't have to. AI mistakes. It can still miscategorize something or miss a connection. That's exactly why the link command exists. So you are reviewing what it builds rather than blindly trusting it. There's also a new standard called OKR for sharing wikis between people that is best for businesses, teachers, and students. But this build is about something OKF doesn't solve, getting an AI to actually use your books for something personal. With all that said, this is genuinely one of the most practical AI workflows I have used. It solves a real problem. It's actually free to set up end to end, and your data stays on your computer in plain text file that you own, nothing logged into someone else's app. And that's the LLM Wiki. Built specifically for the books that are supposed to help you on a normal day when you actually need them. A personal knowledge base that gets better over time instead of starting from zero every single time you ask. I will drop the scheme file, the setup script, and links to every free option we used in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.